Hi guys, my name's Anthony. This is just a CCNA lab that I've been working on using VIRL. I just want to highlight some of the issues I've come across and also some of the part solutions that I've managed to find out that may help you guys, and also if you comment on the on below, and maybe you can help me out also when I'm struggling. So basically what I've got set up is at the moment is just router 1, switch 2, switch 3 and the 3 servers. So the servers are each their own VLAN, which is controlled using router on a stick via router 1. There's also some basic VTP running just for the VLAN information. So first of all, a quick glitch that I found when using VTP. As you can see, I've set the mode to transparent, and basically I've done this on all 3 of the switches purely because when you show your VLAN brief, when you show, you've got the 4 VLANs here that I've created, 10, 20, 30 and 40. If you don't put your switch into transparent mode, it doesn't save your VLAN configuration when you exit out of the simulation. So for example, if I was to file exit or close down my simulation now and go back in, I'd have these VLANs all still configured in each of the switches. If you was to leave that as a default configuration with switch 1 being the server and switch 2 and switch 3 being clients, that's fine whilst you're live working on your topology. But if you was to close down the topology, even if you extract configurations and even if you save everything, when you went back in to your simulation, you'd find that it would not be functioning correctly anymore. Basically, well, it'd still be functioning, but it would not be recalling any of the VLAN information that you configured. So it's just a little trick. Once you're happy your VLANs have transferred along your trunks to the relevant switches, so in my case switch 1 transferred the 4 VLANs to each of the switches in the topology, I then quickly changed the modes on all 3 switches just by using the VTP mode transparent command, and this enables you to keep your VLAN information safe when you exit out of the simulation. So just moving on to each one of my servers on the simulation have some basic information pre-configured. So Ethernet 1 is the server 1's network interface, which connects to switch 1. So as you can see, this has an IP address of 192.168.10.10. So how did I get that into there? Basically, I used in the design tab in the configuration at the bottom here, this top line, I basically edited this information to cater for the correct IP address as VLAN 10 is the 10.1 sub-interface on the router, so I needed to have the server in the 10 subnet, so I assigned it the 10.10. This allows for the inter-VLAN routing to work. So just a quick overview. Each one of the servers has this configuration tab. So the pane at the bottom here, you can see again this one I've statically assigned the 20.20 range, as it's going to be in the VLAN 20, and its default gateway will be 192.168.20.1, and again same for server 3, it's assigned the IP 30.30 and it will be in VLAN 30 with a default gateway of 30.1. So excuse me, in this configuration you can see there's a couple of routes. These are default routes that get put into the configuration. Basically how I do it is, before I would have started up this simulation, on the very first time I built it, there's a button up here on the top which builds the initial configurations. So you just need to make sure that the AutoNet kit is ticked on the devices that you want the ANK to work on. So in my case it was the 3 servers only. So if I just quickly click on switch 1, you can see the auto generate box is unticked. Basically, if you don't want to auto generate a configuration for your switches or your routers, then you just need to make sure that that's unticked. So as I say, for the servers, I built the initial configurations button, and that builds what we see here. So that builds the server, all the configuration it needs for a basic setup. So as you can see, if I just highlight quickly, the username is Cisco and the plain text password is Cisco. That allows for connection when you telnet over to the device. And then, as I said previously, this is the important part which you need only if you want to statically assign an IP address that you want to stay every time you boot up this topology. So what I mean by that is, you can run in the server itself the sudo command and assign an IP address to the relevant Ethernet 1 interface, but again that's not a permanent assignment of the IP address. You would lose that IP address every time you exit out of your simulation. So that's the reason for manually hacking that code in the ANK. An issue I have come across though is with this configuration, the root, the default gateway, I can't quite figure out how to get this line. This is my own hack which I've added in, where I've tried to add 10.1 as the default gateway for the 10.0 network. For some reason I can't quite get that to work, so maybe somebody could help on that. So what I'm trying to say is, if I just quickly show you, if I was to ping 192.168.10.1, bearing in mind I've already pre-configured the router on a stick, you can see I'm able to ping my default gateway. But if I try to ping 20.1, for example, the network is unreachable due to no default gateway being configured. So the only way I can get this to work is by using a command in the administration mode on the server, like in the simulation live, and that was the command I've used is this one at the bottom here. So it's sudo root add default GW and then 192.168.10.1. assign a path. The password is just Cisco. So just to show a quick example now, if I was to do the 20.20, which is server 2's IP address, it doesn't ping because server 2 hasn't been configured with a default gateway, but you can see I'm not getting that same error. So if we just leave that pinging for a moment and just nip onto server 2, and if we run the same command, which was sudo root add default gw192.168. and as this is in the 20 range for the VLAN subnet, I've assigned the correct default gateway of 20.1, and then again just use the Cisco as the password. I just nip back over to server 1. You can now see that it's pinging, so it's running from server 1 into the router and back out, down and through to server 2, which is 20.20. and if I just exit, and just to show that working back, .10.10, you can see that it's pinging from server 2 using router on a stick and going over to server 1. So basically that's just highlighting the fact that I'm not being able to figure out exactly how to manually configure a default gateway. Basically what I'm trying to do is have this topology, when it loads up, all of these IP addresses are all in place with correct default gateway and to match my design. So it's just if anyone can help with that, to manually have that, so I don't need to use the sudo command, that would be greatly appreciated. So a couple of other issues that are maybe worth mentioning is again, if we was to configure router 1 as a DHCP server and have it issuing IP addresses to server 1 or server 2, server 3, again we need to click on our server. So if you can just imagine, this is the topology isn't active at the moment. This is obviously being, when I hit the build initial configurations button, it populates this information for the Ethernet 1 interface. So if anybody could help, I'd like to remove this information and have a command which forces the server to request an IP address from a DHCP server within the simulation. So it would request the IP address from router 1, which would be acting as the DHCP server. This is an issue that I've been working on for a couple of days, and searching the VIRL forums and basically just searching Google, I've been unable to find a fix for this or the correct method. Again, if anybody has any information on this, it'd be great if you could just help us out. I'd really appreciate that. So that's pretty much it. So as I said, you lose your VLAN configurations if you don't change it to transparent mode on your switches, which is handy to know, because I mean, it's good practice to have to load your topology up and maybe keep inputting your VLAN information, but if you're working on some router configurations and you want to just forget about that part of the topology, you might miss things if that configuration hasn't loaded correctly, or so it's just worth bearing in mind. I'm sure that the VIRL team are working on fixes for this stuff, but that's just something that I picked up from the VIRL forum, and it seems to work pretty well just for keeping your VLAN information when you close down your topology. Again, those commands, so you can manually hack your server's ANK and assign it the IP address for the interface, which is handy, what has been handy for me because I wanted to use them specific 10 range, 20 range and 30 range just to keep things neatly for my router on a stick configuration. So that's my personal reasoning for that. And also I've quite like the idea to use servers or bring a host into the configuration rather than using a router and no IP routing. That's just something that I prefer to do with VIRL. I'd like to get it all working, which I'm sure it's possible. Just at the early stages of setting up VIRL, these are some of the issues that I've found. As I say, if anyone's got any comments or any advice where else to look, especially on the DHCP side of things, that'd be great. I'd just like to thank you for watching and just end this video, and I look forward to hearing your comments. Thanks a lot. Goodbye.